Hello, welcome to All Wheels Podcast. I'm Evan, and I'm here with Max and Brady. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Yoop.
That's your call sign. Yoop.
Right on. All right, so we're back. I guess when you hear this, there's no delay, but we didn't record last week, so it seems like it's been a little while.
Yeah, it was honestly like I really did miss you guys.
I miss you guys.
Yeah.
It felt like a long time.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. Because we got a good thing going, we're keeping it going, which is awesome. It's hard to do shit like that regularly, so I'm glad.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, I didn't know at first when we were just kind of before releasing, I didn't know if we could keep up the schedule, but it's honestly been really easy.
It's great.
Well, yeah, I think it's a pretty reasonable schedule. It's pretty good to do. So tonight we're talking about our top projects, which I think will be cool because everybody's got a bunch of interesting shit that they put on their lists, I'm sure. So we don't know what everybody has written down yet. So this will be interesting discussion.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what you guys jotted down.
I think I got some hot shit on mine, to be honest.
This was so much fun to when I sat down with this idea or with the idea of doing this, because I think all three of us have probably, between the three of us, had over 100 cars and motorcycles. So obviously we all
probably
for me
double that.
Right. So I was like, what are actually ones that I either haven't done or I've owned but sold and wish I would have kept and fixed up? Like I had so many thoughts. And then of course to try to narrow it down, because the reason why we've all had so many cars, because we all love all sorts of different cars and bikes. So
right. It's hard to narrow it down.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I didn't read all the notes. Apparently, we're supposed to do 5. I had 11. I struck a few out, so I definitely tightened her up a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, we did 5, but I even said like before a few days ago that I've got a few extra in there too.
Yeah.
So we might squeak out a few more than 5 each if time allots.
Yeah. Honorable mentions.
Well, and some of them, it's like. Because when I hear project, I think like I think like I'm modifying it. I don't think restoring it or something. So
that's
some
exactly
of these
how
on my
I was
list
thinking it.
is just a car or something I want to own, but I don't necessarily want to do anything to it other than have one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's totally fine. Yeah, and I think we all kind of interpreted it a little differently too. So I think that'll be fun.
Yeah. And so when everybody's listening to this, definitely recommend, if you're near your computer, Google some of the stuff that we're going to mention, because it could be fun for you to hang in with us and be like, what the hell is that even? What is that car, or what is that bike? And maybe we'll post some pictures on our Instagram or something. So maybe our top
and tell us
2.
what's cool, or who chose really horrible things for their top project.
Without a doubt, it's gonna be me.
That's it.
100%.
Based on your Chevy HHR or whatever.
Well,
I'm not surprised.
I've got a feeling that it's not going to surprise anyone, but at the same time, there's going to be some surprises. There's going to be some shockers.
You realize those are exact opposites. You're like, okay, I'm not going to surprise anybody, but it's going to be really surprising.
Shockers. There's going to be some shockers.
All right, I'm ready to be shocked.
But also, having a little thought on it, it's like, oh well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Ray's a fucking weird guy.
You have some. What's the word? I was going to say elaborate taste, but that's probably not
eclectic.
But yeah,
eccentric.
Eclectic. Yeah.
Eccentric. Yeah, Brady's into cool shit. He knows all the. I feel like my stuff is more mainstream. Actually, I have one on my list. I know nobody would have thought of.
Yeah, I have one.
I've got, honestly, like, it's pretty diverse, my list. I kind of chose a little bit. Mine's all over the place.
Well, let's do a quick what's in your garage.
Talk about what's in the shop.
We'll make it quick, and then we'll get on with our list. I'll start because I have what's not in my shop anymore, which is no more R1150 GS BMW. It's sold.
Oh, you sold it?
I sold it.
Oh,
gone.
no, I didn't know that. Nice.
Yeah, it worked out better than I thought. I was asking 58 when it was all loaded, and nobody wanted it. So I took off the shocks and took off the bags and sold the bike. Sold the bike for $5,000 stripped, and then sold all the parts. So now I'm up over $6,000. And
what? You got $5,000 for yours?
yeah.
How? Ow, I got 43 for mine.
Yeah, it's clean, man.
Hooked up.
Well, mine had the C. Mine had the gowing. I don't know.
Dude. Damn it. I should have had you sell my GS.
Well, with yours off the market, Max's just became more valuable.
That must be it. Well, I see the guy, cool guy. I sold mine to this local dude who's really rad, and he's selling it again. I see it for sale, and he's just sitting there at 48, and nobody's touching it.
Yeah, some guy. I mean, I had the classic. I was answering a million stupid questions from people who had no real interest.
Yeah,
and I just was so sick of it. And then this guy called on Saturday and was like, "I'm driving down. I want that bike." And I was like, dude, I got a gig. I'm not even going to be here. I have to go. And he's like, I can't get there till. So my friend Mike McDonald, honorable mention, thanks, Mike, came over and just hung out at my house and met the guy and took the money. And dude rode away.
You let Mike McDonald in your house while you were there?
I noticed that all my heroin was gone and cocaine, but
damn.
Just kidding.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, I love Mikey, but damn. all my beer would be gone.
That's such a rad name.
I know Michael McDonald. It's awesome.
Mike McDonald. Oh, dude, Mike's rad. He's a super cool guy.
That's rad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
So the next podcast, or not the next one, but the two from now, what's in my garage will be an old BMW. But for now, for the first time in like decades, I have nothing in my garage motorcycle. It's very crazy. My garage is
that's weird. I've never seen a garage.
It feels weird. I've got tons of parts, but no bike.
Yeah.
So that's it. Anyway,
you'll fix that soon.
That was my little update.
Did you put the suspension up for sale?
Yeah, I sold it today.
The pieces.
He said he sold all the parts.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Some guy bought the Oleans today for $1,000.
So what did the suspension sell for? What's that?
$1,000.
Oh shit. Okay, it was front and rear.
Yeah, front and rear Oleans.
Yeah.
So I wound up getting. So I was asking 58 for the bike, and I was going to take 54 or 55, and I wound up selling it separately and made 6. So it works out. Or 61.
Yeah, that was a
good
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is fortunate in some cases and unfortunate in others that stuff really doesn't. It doesn't really add value, and it just makes it harder to sell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird. It's worthless to the sale price, but
it's just crazy. And I always keep all the stock parts because I know that's going to happen, and it's just easier to put it all back to stock. And the bike is, you barely take less, and then you can sell all the parts later, which is annoying and just the way it goes. So anyway, that's it.
Damn. Nice,
man.
That's a good score.
Evan, tell me about your BMW you're working on.
Well, I will, but did I mention the Power Wagon? I forget. Did I said I bought that, right?
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
Did you get it sold?
The D200?
No, but just fucking jerk offs left and right.
Seriously.
Like, with insane trade offers, and like I cannot count how many just trashed 300,000 mile diesel trucks I've been offered for it. And I mean, just like trash.
6-point blows.
Dude, everything. Mostly old Cummins for some reason, but I don't
like 12 valves or
I don't know them well.
I mean, I guess 12 valves are old now, but
well, second gen Dodge, a couple Dodge like 2500s
with like 500,000 miles on them.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I don't want them. My diesel phase is over. But just crap. But I finally have people. I lowered the price to 9 on my listings, and then I've got people offering 8. So I think I'm in the ballpark because I'll sell it for that. So
okay,
it sounds like this weekend I got 2 guys that are serious. So I think it'll be gone. So that'll be good. I want to get rid of that.
Yeah, easy flip.
And then what else? Yeah, I've been working on the Airhead because I'm almost done with it. So I got it running well. But I was calling Max earlier because I have it running and I set the timing and so like idle's fine, starts fine, everything looks good, and then I'm like, okay, I need to check the full advance timing, make sure I'm actually hitting the right advance mark when I rev it up, so in case I need to tweak it a little bit. And then I give it throttle. I'd never even touched the throttle, just sit there and idle. Give it throttle, it just falls on its face. I mean, will not take any throttle. The motor just chugs and dies. I'm like, what in the hell's going on? And I start looking, like I double check the timing. The static timing's fine. Like it's right on the idle timing mark is right on, and the carbs are rebuilt, and like throttle cables aren't hung up. Like I'm checking everything I could think of, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I'm finally like, I guess I'll pull the carbs off and look at them because it's not an ignition problem.
Is there like a jet missing?
No, this was nuts. So I take off the elbow, so that thing like the carbs mount to the cylinder with a rubber boot, right? And then it has a plastic elbow that attaches it to the airbox.
That are a pain in the butt to get back
They
on.
do suck.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I take those off, look in the carburetor on one side.
No. Do you have a shop rag in there?
No.
Okay, because I've done that.
It's my cat.
It's the opposite. So it's not that there's no airflow, it's that there's shit tons of airflow. The slide on both carburetors, the slides are stuck completely open. Like literally stuck at the top of their travel. So the thing will idle. It'll get, plenty of gas and it'll sit there and idle, but it cannot rev at all because it's just getting like tons of gas. The needle's almost completely out of the main jet. So I'm like, what the hell? I don't know. It idled perfectly fine. Started easily. Idles fine. Just wouldn't take any throttle because the slides are stuck open. So I realized that. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So
I've had the total opposite experience with a sticking slide.
Where they're stuck closed?
No, like when they stick open, like say they're on idle and then you give it some throttle and it sticks, say wide open, it just freaking reams to the moon. And then it's like it runs away from you.
I suspect if you could get it to process all that air to get clear of like that mid-range,
this is an airhead.
Do that.
Yeah.
It's a tractor.
It's a low power motor anyways, and it just cannot overcome how much air you're dumping into it. Yeah. So you try and throttle it up and it just is like slides.
So it's
wide
probably
open.
Sticking not completely wide open, but like close, because if you give it some throttle, it wouldn't know there's any change. Well, then it opens a little bit more
because there's CV carbs, so the throttle's controlling the butterfly. That part works fine at idle because the butterfly is blocking.
I wasn't thinking CV carbs.
Most
that
of the airflow.
Total sense now.
So the second you crack the butterfly open, you're giving it access to a wide open slide.
Okay, so that makes sense.
I'm like, what the hell? Like these old Bing carburetors on these years don't have springs on them to return the slide back down. But that's just the way they were built. And I've never had one get stuck before. Like the vacuum of air, coming through the motor tends to pull them back down, I think, and they just don't use springs. Wow. So I'm like, what the hell? So I take the cap off. It's got a big cap. Yeah. It's got the rubber diaphragm attached to the slide. I take it all out, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, like the slide on its own moves perfectly fine in the carburetor body, but on those things, the center of the slide has a steel or aluminum tube or something, and then it slides on a tube that is part of the cap, and that's when it raises, it has to freely slide up and down inside of those. Yeah. And so I'm like playing with it, and both of them are sticking. Like they're so tight, I can barely get them to slide in and out of each other. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like this bike was rideable before I did the carbs and everything. It was horrible, but it ran and rode. So the only thing I can figure is I clean the carbs in my ultrasonic cleaner with Simple Green and water, like I always do, and sometimes if you leave them in too long, it kind of like discolors
like
the aluminum.
Varnish.
Yeah, it does something to aluminum if you leave it in too long, and I did leave them in too long.
It's only on the cast aluminum, or like the early cast stuff.
It does it to these caps. I can see the little like oxidation marks or whatever. I don't know what it is. So the only thing I could figure, there's nothing obvious. I just think the Simple Green, like maybe I didn't clean them out well enough, and it kind of like gunked up a little bit the inside of the caps. So I took a bunch of sandpaper, like real fine sandpaper, and I sanded inside of them and on the slide and everything, and just did that forever until they both slid smoothly again. And then I put it back together and like perfect.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
But what the hell? Like
That's
I've
weird.
never, ever had that happen.
No, I've never had it. I've rebuilt 20 pairs of carburetors and I've never had that. Yeah, you must have just, something got gooped up on them, or who knows.
But both sides?
I know that's weird.
Really, I think it had to do with my cleaning. It had to, because it didn't do this before. But anyways, that's a new one. I've never, ever had that happen before.
Okay, well.
That used to not happen a lot to me, but it was something I would always check, dealing with like older CB550s, 750s, stuff like that. Especially, even on the dual overheads that had the CV carbs.
Yeah.
On the manual car or manual slides on I can't remember if it was a certain model. I think it might have been like the 76 where they changed the 550 around, or I could be thinking of the 750. It doesn't matter, but
to CV cars.
No, so they changed them over at 79, the first year of the dual overhead.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And the CB 650, which was 80, I think. But prior to that, there were manual slides. And on the slides, they had a groove that guides.
Oh, the little roller guy?
It wasn't roller. It was like a slider. And it grooved in there. The slide had like a little plastic protrusion that slid into the guide, and that's what it runs on. But it was some kind of polymer, and it would swell with age.
Oh, and just jam up.
So it would, I would say half of the carbs that I got all were sticking because that had swelled up. And I would have to like file them down, like,
oh my God,
get my like jewelry files just to get it like smooth again. But I would have to do that with almost every like half the sets.
That
I
makes
would
sense
get
with the age of them.
So with that, like I just always it's like it's second nature to me to always check the slide and see if it's moving freely with every carb I do.
Yeah,
but. I didn't know. That's interesting. I didn't know the Bings were like that. I've even taken apart a few sets.
Well, it depends on the year. Like I think Max, didn't the 40 millimeter Bings have springs in them?
Yeah, even the R80s, the later model, the flat tops they call them, were all spring driven, which makes sense. I mean, I feel like you could add them to even the old bikes.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, it would make your throttle a little more stiff, but.
Yeah,
it's already pretty stiff with those. The springs are really tight on those butterflies, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I got to get some miles on it and see how it rides. Right now it's fixed and running well, so once I ride it, I'll see if I want to dick with it.
Is it ready to ride like tomorrow? You could ride it?
Like 95%.
Okay, cool, man.
It could. I still have a few more things to do, but it's close.
Post a picture on our Instagram. I'd like to see it.
So... yeah, I will. It's looking good. It's all clean, and the brown paint shined up pretty good.
Nice.
It turned out, it's gonna be a good bike.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's about it. I haven't been working on much else.
All right, Brady, you're up.
Let's see. Well, today actually was a pretty big day, which was really exciting. But before that, I mean, we've had a couple weeks. Mostly been getting stuff ready. My boss is selling like 4 cars. And that 392 Hemi with it's got like a super rare early magnesium Ed Pink 871 blower.
Oh shit,
Jesus!
So gathering all the detail, I don't have much information on that Hemi, so I didn't want to. I pulled the pan and valve cover and stuff and kind of inspected it because we don't really have any information on it. We do know at one point it was in a C10 that made quote unquote 1,000 horsepower.
Jeez.
And it's fresh rebuild. Like there's still or there's assembly lube still like fresh in it.
Damn. It's a Hemi that was in a C10.
Yeah. So, older one. I don't know what year it was. I never saw the truck.
Oh, I never heard of that.
That's an interesting motor choice.
I know.
For a C10 swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up cracking the head or pulling the head off and just taking a look just because of all the questions I was getting, like what's the compression? I was like, I know it's built for a blower, so I'm assuming there's lower compression pistons. It kind of got to the point where it's like, if I'm selling this, I need to know. So I cracked it open and it's got like lower than stock compression, but I don't know by how much.
That's critical enough to get the money you need for it that you actually have to take the motor apart to answer those questions?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's not even another early 392 Hemi for sale in the world right now. I did my research.
How much is he asking for this car?
Honestly, not as much as I thought. it would be, but $5,500 for the motor.
$5,500?
It's just the motor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't follow you. I thought, okay, never mind. It's just the motor.
Just the motor.
I was thinking it was in a car for some reason.
And then the blower is $3,500.
Okay.
So $9,000, say, for the package.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's because who
do
buys
people
that
want
motor?
that for?
It's
what's that going in?
Honestly, everyone I've talked to, it's either one of them. It was going to go into like an old nostalgic drag racer.
Oh, rad. Okay.
And like the old slingshots, or it was going to go into like a Model A project.
Okay.
Which was what that motor was going to go into. It was like that holy grail 28 Model A body on 32 rails.
I'll allow it. Those are both good uses.
Yeah.
For that motor.
Sweet.
I'm kind of bummed, to be honest with you. I really wanted to do that project, but we're gonna be moving on for it. Just gonna be slimming down.
Yeah. What year was the motor? I'm trying to find a picture of one.
It's 58. I'm sorry, 57. 392.
Oh shit!
Look up Ed Pink.
Wow, there's one with that exact setup on the Ham. It's probably old, but here's a picture of that same thing, massive. God, that's a cool motor.
And that thing is big. It's such an awesome,
that's a
awesome motor.
She was.
Wait, what was the blower on it?
It's an early magnesium Ed Pink 871. Just Ed Pink 871. There's nothing really special about it. They just weren't really made that there weren't too many of the early ones still around and or made. And Ed Pink was such a
that's cool,
iconic figure as far as
that's so rad.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice. Yeah, here's an Ed Pink 871.
Oh my gosh.
The Ham for $4,000.
Yeah, that's the only other one I found that was actually for sale, and it was like 8 years ago.
Is that on Classic Cars?
California.
I see that one.
Oh, yeah, it probably is old as shit. No, jalopyjournal.com.
Oh, okay.
Has all sorts of rad old hot rod parts. Oh, I forgot to say this. On my dad's 57 Chevy, I don't think I ever showed you a picture of this, but it was a column shift car. Mm-hmm. So it's a 283 with a 3-speed column shift and a Borg Warner overdrive. And it had when we bought it, it had a floor shift conversion. So somebody had already put a old school 3-speed floor shifter in it. I'd have no clue what brand it was. There's no mark. It's not hers.
Probably like a Muncie or something.
There's no markings on it. There's nothing. So I have no clue what it was, but it doesn't take sticks like Hurst sticks with the standard spacing, In fact, the shifter stick is actually a integral part of the shifter. So you'd have to take the whole assembly apart. To change the stick.
Yeah. It's on like a uniball. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's probably a Muncie. I've actually got one at the shop.
It's cool and it works great. But the problem was the stick that was on it. And like I said, it's made into the shifter. I didn't want to take it all apart because it's adjusted and it works well. But it was so low and it's offset to the driver's side of the trans tunnel. So it hits your knee, had a 8-inch shifter on it. I mean, it was horrible to drive because you're leaning over trying to shift. Mm-hmm. So I found this rad, I'll put up a picture of it on Instagram, but I found a shifter from a 60s Mopar. With a console, so I forget what it was, but it's got the perfect setup for this car. With it's a 15-inch rise.
Oh,
it's a 4-inch offset to the passenger side.
That's awesome.
So on its own,
it came out of a truck, I'm sure.
No, it was a oh fuck, I'll find it. It was for sure a Mopar car with a console.
No way.
But it's really weird. You look at it and you're like, "There's no way this will work." But in this car, it fit perfectly. I hacked off the old shifter and just left 2 inches and then polished it all up. And then I drilled and tapped holes in the standard Hurst spacing so I can just bolt it right in. And now I've got it hot swappable for Hurst sticks. And now it's you're cruising it and it just put the shifter right where you want it, right in the
That's rad.
It made it a whole new car to drive. It was awesome.
Yeah. So I was selling that and then dealing with just people, like you mentioned, is such a nightmare.
Exhausting.
But today, I like kind of midday yesterday, I started building the exhaust for that 51 panel. Today I finished it probably around like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the last thing. I had done some like up and down the street kind of road testing. But it's just so obnoxious, just running straight headers.
With what motor?
It's a 383 stroker.
Oh, nice.
And it's got 3 deuce carbs on it. It's like a old hot rod, like kind of.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful motor. So I finished the exhaust on it, and ended up putting, made a true dual with MagnaFlow glass packs on it. And
do you have it up on a
perfect.
lift? Like, how are you doing this?
No, I've just got it freaking jacked up, and just with jack stands as high as it can go on all 4 corners. It's a pain in the ass to do exhaust on my back, but
how are you welding?
I was just doing tacks, so I was just setting it, getting out, trimming, going back under. Okay. Making sure that that's the angle I want, and then
you'll pull it all off and finish.
Yeah, it. So then I'll just do a couple quick tacks or what I can get to, and then I'll even on top of that do a couple marks with a Sharpie on the seams, just in case they break while removing. I still have some kind of reference. And so we did our first test drive in it. He's had that truck for almost 12 years now.
Oh, wow.
And it was kind of the first rip, and the thing is so awesome. It's fully bagged, but I'll post, I got a couple videos and photos. I'll post them on the Instagram.
Cool.
But yeah, that's what's in my shop.
Nice. All right. So anyways, let's start talking about our topic tonight, which is our top projects. So this should be good. I want to hear what everybody has.
Yeah, dude, I've been waiting for like 2 weeks literally to hear what you guys have down.
No, this will be rad. Okay, so no rules. Cars, trucks, whatever, motorcycles, whatever you got. Mm-hmm. Let's hear it. And let's start with Max.
Yeah, Max.
We're gonna go. We'll go one. Go in a circle. Max, you start, and then you get either demolished for your choice, or we support you because it's rad. So let's.
I am screwed.
I feel like there's no station wagons on my list. There's no mini.
Okay. I got you covered.
I figured Brady had a station wagon.
This list is. This is a terrible, trying to narrow down the 1,000 things I wish I could have or owned or have not owned. And so I tried to pick from all sorts of little facets of my motor life. And so the first one is a truck that I always loved and always wanted and always admired, but I was not a rich kid at this time. And so I had a couple friends who had them. And so I just felt like I missed
Ford Lightning.
Always.
Oh, you just made me want to add a truck to my list.
Wait, you're close.
Wait. Can I guess?
Yes.
Okay. But this would be mine. So
first of all, I am not a Ford guy, so I'm a Chevy.
Okay.
Guy, so.
It's a what was it called? A Dodge Little Red Express.
No, it's the 454 SS.
Oh, yeah,
you got it.
You know the step side with the stacks, wood bed, and the stacks.
Brady nailed it. Brady nailed it. 1991 Chevy 454 SS.
Okay, that's rad as hell. I can't argue with that.
I had a friend in high school who was a rich kid, and he had one. But the funny thing about that truck is, so a stock 350 V8 was. Might get these numbers a little messed up, and I probably could have Googled it, but I want to say it was like 215 horsepower.
Yeah.
Or 225. And the 454 SS was so detuned, it was only like 245 or 250.
Yeah, I remember them being like total dogs.
So I was thinking how great it would be now to have that, to find one and then desmog it and open up that big block. And I just think that would be the sweetest project. It would be reasonable. I mean, they're fairly expensive now. I found one for like 18 grand or 20 grand.
Damn.
But I love short bed. I love single cab short bed Chevy trucks.
Dude, it's even
Just one of those
worse. I
things.
just looked it up. 230 horsepower.
Yeah.
230. Yeah, so it was 215 for a 350 and 230 for a 454 SS. I don't even know how you can compress a motor.
Yeah.
You'd have to work to make it that bad.
Yeah.
I know. They just
Wow.
like shove socks into the exhaust or like, I don't know what. But anyway, so that's the first. That's the first.
Hot choice. Hot choice.
Yeah, that is
That's
a good one.
kickoff.
Thank you.
I like that. I didn't even think about that, but that's sweet. Damn, you just made me want to add like 3 trucks to my list. now.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You got to narrow it down.
I don't have any trucks on my list, so
right,
if you
what's
want
your
to
first
tag one in there. My first one, I don't know which one to say first, but my first one is, it's not like,
If you can give like a 30-second backstory why you do it. I think that's cool.
okay, so this is kind of more recent, and it's because there's always those projects, I'm sure you guys have them too, where it's not like a realistic project where like you're seeking it out, but it's like, oh man, like if I find one for a really good deal, it's the right time, like I'd pick it up and then just spend my time kind of working on it and building it or whatever it may be.
Yep.
So that's kind of my whole list. Almost my whole list.
Wait, give us
But
a hint though, so I can try and guess.
It's German.
Car track.
They're one of the tanks. I'll give you a hint that this one is a station wagon, but it wasn't only a station wagon.
One of those old Mercedes turbo diesel like rigs, you know.
Right on the money, brother.
I don't know the name of it, but
So it's like the generation of, it's preferably the 124 or W124s.
what era is this?
So that's like late 80s to like mid 90s. They did the W124s.
Oh yeah, that's the Haas I'm thinking of. Yep.
Yeah,
that's it.
But
That's
even
exactly it.
before, like the generation before, a couple before that was the 114s that my best friend had.
More rounded fenders, right? But they were.
They looked like they were from the 70s, but they're from like the late 80s or mid 80s.
Good choice. Yes,
and,
that's 114. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking of in
So
head.
my best friend in high school had one of these, and we would just literally go everywhere. And it was a turbo. It was like a pea yellow, like mustard yellow station wagon, and diesel.
Look at that thing.
And that was actually the
So
first.
rad.
That was actually the first car I broke 100 in. Believe it or not, it was the diesel.
Did it take an hour to get there?
It did. So we just
totally.
randomly, like in high school, you know how you just like, well, it's the weekend, we got nothing to do, let's just drive. We ended up driving from La Mesa in like East County, like almost to like Monterey. And all we had, no money. We just had like his dad's like Chevron like gas card. And it's a diesel, which we found out that no one has like it's not common to have diesel when you're like way out there.
Yeah.
And so we had to do some bartering, like, hey, can we put like $20 of fuel at Chevron with our card, and then you give us $20 cash so we can go to like another gas station to get diesel.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so it's kind of some nostalgia in like those older turbo diesels,
Nice.
Station wagons. But being in California, it's got to be a pre-95 diesel because those are smog exempt. And
that's on your top 5 list of dream projects?
honestly, that really was, yeah, of course. So my idea is to
That's awesome.
just build like kind of like I'll bag it, put like some big rims on it and low profiles, and swap an LS in it with a big single turbo.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
yeah, and in California, like it had to have been a diesel and that generation. pre-95 to actually get away with some kind of swap like that. So, and I did have smog in mind when I made this list.
Okay.
And it's got to be a station wagon because, I mean, station wagons are
cooler than
so
the sedan.
cool. Yeah, and I honestly don't really like the sedans.
Yeah.
I'm a total station wagon guy. But
I like
yes,
it. That's a good choice.
That's
good
my
choice.
plan.
Good start. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I got a sweet one. So I think this is a good choice, and I'll tell you why I chose this. This was the only truck on my list. And okay, so my grandpa, when I grew up, my mom's dad, Grandpa Forrester, had a super sweet truck that was I'm going to get the year wrong, but it's basically the same, really similar body style to the Power Wagon. So it must be like late 60s, early 70s, like a swept line Dodge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it had a slant six in it, and it was probably a 3-speed on the floor and 2-wheel drive, and it was all black. And like he had that thing ever since I was born, and my mom learned to drive in it. The thing was just around forever. So maybe not learn to drive, but she drove it in high school for sure, or college. All right, whatever. Anyway, so Grandpa's had it forever since it was new, I think. So I always wanted that thing. It's actually still sitting in his farm in Kansas, and it's really. I got it running last time I was there. It'd been sitting for years since he died, and my brother and I went and dicked with it and got it running again, but it's pretty rough. Anyways, so I was thinking like I just put that on my list, like whatever year that was, I'd have to look it up, 69, 70, something like that. But then I was like, wait a minute, I want that, but even cooler. And it is a Dodge. So it's a Dodge, the Dude model pickup. Have you seen one of these?
No.
Okay, if you haven't seen one, you need to look it up. I've seen pictures of these like for years, but just search Google Images for Dodge Dude pickup, and you'll find it. There's a picture of Don Knotts. There's this rad like ad with Don Knotts and a bright green Dodge Dude.
What
it is so
hell?
Cool.
No way.
How rad is that? So
there's a yellow one too. The yellow one is sweet.
And they all had that stripe package on it with a big C stripe that ran all the way down the sides.
Yeah, it follows that
two-tone cab. Had Dude, look at the logo on the rear of the bed. It says Dude with a cowboy hat.
Freaking cool.
Oh my gosh.
You're just going to have to whistle the Andy Griffin song the entire time you're in there.
I would just drive the shit out of one of these.
That is
I think it was just a sticker package, you know? Like I think it was
it looks like they only came with the long beds.
Yeah, I think it was a long bed.
Why does this orange one say Fargo on the back? Oh, they must change the wording. Okay.
Who knows?
Everything else says Dodge. Yeah.
It's all stickers, you know. There's probably a million custom edition Dodges from that era, but I know I saw a picture of one of these years ago, and I always thought it was so cool because it was like just about the same truck Grandpa had, but even cooler with the stickers and the Dude logo.
No, there's two of them. So, there's the 71 Fargo Camper Special Dude swept line, so you can get either
that's
just
a lot of work.
Dodge.
Yeah,
I know.
Camper Special Dude,
the 71 Fargo Camper Special Dude swept line pickup.
That's a truck right there.
That's cool.
So cool.
Man. Good one.
All right, so that's what I want. I want one of those with a floor shift and a slant six. And I don't think I'd change anything. I'd just drive the crap out of it like Grandpa did.
Yeah, do you know what? You kind of have to. Like that's a truck
I don't want to do anything.
Yeah,
I don't want a bigger motor. I just want a slant six and a floor shift, and I want to wear a cowboy hat and just fucking cruise around and buy hay and stuff in it. You know, like that's all I want. Yeah. So all right, that's my number one.
That's good. I like that.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to move from cars and trucks to motorcycles. And backstory on this is I've owned one of these, but I owned it before I knew much about motorcycles and how to make them, how to fix them and how to work on them. And it was such a sweet bike, man. It was like dream bike. And I just wound up, it never ran right. I could never get the carbs to balance. I didn't have the money. It was early on in my marriage, and we just could never, no way I could drop off the bike and spend, $1,000 to get the carbs redone.
Yeah.
But it's a Honda CB 1100F.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Dude,
What year?
Google that. 83, I think mine was.
I'm trying to think. Is that? Oh, with the little fairing,
two-color,
right? Didn't have
the little fairing, and they had white with blue striping or white
okay.
with red striping, and I had a red one.
Yes, that's like a 1 or 2 year only bike, right?
Yes,
I looked up a picture. That's a good bike.
it was such it was such a dreamy bike, man. I freaking love that thing, and it was a Haas. But once you could get it past the flat spots and all the problems I had with it, and I always wanted that bike to just, when you fired that thing up, man, it had the sweetest tone. It's kind of an oddball bike, which I kind of I don't know. I had the white with the red, and I just fucking loved it. And I just was thinking,
that's rad.
Yeah, it was killer, man. I think if I had it now, it'd be such a different set of terms in which I'd own it. So that's my number 2.
I think I bet you could find one that.
I think I can if I ever really want to do it again.
Because it's not really too known of a bike,
right?
But there's like this crazy niche market of like 80s motorcycles, like 80s to like early 90s. Yeah, like there's like they become like serious collectors.
It was a sweet one. Some of my other projects are like so unattainable. I wanted at least one that was like, you know what? If you really
reachable,
wanted it, you could find one. You could totally.
That's in the ballpark.
You
for
could
sure.
totally do it.
Yeah.
So that's my
nice.
That's one of my 5.
Nice.
All right. What do you got next?
I'll bring this one up. This one, Evan, I think you'll appreciate.
Okay.
So this has been like a 10-year plus dream to take honestly, like first or second gen Falcon and build a gasser.
Oh yeah, definitely appreciate.
But it's gotta,
rad.
of course, be a Falcon station wagon. I'll probably have easier with a second gen finding the station wagon.
Yeah, there's not a lot of first gen Falcon wagons out there. But there's some that were actually delivery wagons. Have you seen the ones with no windows on them?
Yeah.
There's not many, but like they exist and they're super rad.
So in like, cause I've already built this car out even on paper where I was just starting to like find parts and stuff and collect kind of a folder for all that stuff.
Yeah.
It honestly was going to be my next personal project had I not got the Triumph from my dad.
Right.
So it was not going to be a traditional gasser at all.
What would you do different?
I was going to piss a lot of people off because that like genre of cars is diehards.
Yep.
So, and honestly, because of budget, I wasn't going to put this nasty built out motor because I wanted to drive it. Like my dream was to have my babe like take it to groceries. Like it was actually going to be called it was actually going to be called the grocery gasser.
But are you talking like straight axle, leaf spring?
Oh
front,
yeah.
Like
so appearance wise, it was going to be somewhat or pretty spot on as far as a gasser. But
I imagine that's horrendous to drive on the street.
Yeah,
I've never driven one, but
I'm sure it is.
Really
with big meats in the rear and skinnies up front. And the straight axle too they're not really known to handle.
No, God, no, it's horrible. It's made to go in a straight line really fast.
Exactly, which would be built for that still, because I still would like to take it to the track. I'm even talking about it like I have it.
Other than those 18,000 point turns to get out of the parking space
exactly. You have to be really strategic in the parking lot.
Very strategic.
But what I would do, which would piss everyone off, at least that is diehard for them, put an LS in it because like I said, I want to drive it. And what I really want to do is build an 8-to-1 header. And that was my project. Okay, this is what I want to do, that 8-to-1 header or 8-to-1 exhaust system on. And I don't know if you've heard V8 with 8-to-1 exhaust.
What's the benefit?
I mean, there's a lot of flow benefits you get from it that tend to prefer the higher RPM.
Okay.
But that's all equal length. So it essentially it replicates like a flat plane crank motor. So like most all Ferraris are flat plane. That's where you get that like exotic sound. Mm-hmm. And I wanted that sound out of like an old school gasser.
Got it.
And
yeah, you'd piss people off with that.
Yeah, but it's my shit.
No, I don't care, dude.
I don't get mad at people with their stuff. So
no, it's only the a-holes that want to.
Yeah.
About it.
So yeah, so that one still like that's going to happen in my lifetime.
But I feel like one of my favorite parts about gassers are the super rad fender well headers. You know, that like...
Yeah, that sneak under the fender.
So cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean... Whatever.
But you know, whatever.
Okay.
No, okay, good choice. All right, I feel like we got some...
All right, Evan, you're up.
Hot topics. Okay, so this one... Okay, my number 2, I've actually had it already, but I didn't have the budget or knowledge or anything to do it the way I wanted to. Okay, so I don't know. Have you guys heard of the Hemi under Glass Barracuda?
No.
Is that the big window?
Okay, just Google Barracuda
rear.
Hemi under glass. Okay, you'll see a picture of a 6456, I forget, Barracuda. So it was the Valiant style Barracuda that was the front end of a, crappy Valiant with the fastback rear, huge rear glass. But what was so rad about the Hemi under glass was it was a Barracuda body, but they put a massive blown Hemi in the fastback rear. Okay, so I don't actually want to do that. I have no interest in putting the motor in the back, but I love.
I've got a good story about this car, by the way. Too.
That car with the gold and black striping was super rad. So when this was 2008, 9, somewhere around there, I bought a 64 Barracuda painted exactly like this car. It had the gold sides, the black roof. It was already painted like that, and it had whatever the Valiant V8 was, like 275 or something. I have no idea. It's somewhere in there. Small V8, whatever the small block Mopar V8 was from the 60s in it.
218 or 318 maybe.
It wasn't a 318 because that's what I put in it. Before that, it was smaller, whatever the stock one was. Anyways, I blew that up and it had a 4-speed in it. And then I put a 318 in it and then drove it for a while, and it was great. And I traded it for a Duster. But anyways,
that's another freaking hitter right there.
Well, it was a slant 6 automatic Duster.
Who cares, man? The Dusters are rad.
But it was rad. It was bright orange with black stripes, and it was a super sweet car. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I want that. I always regretted trading it because that Barracuda was so rad, and with that paint scheme with the gold and black and a V8 and a 4-speed, it was just a super sweet car. And I had Anson slotted mags on it. It was just like the right look. I had big tires in the rear, and it was not like super nice, but it was totally good enough. And it was a great driver, and it was really sweet, but I never made it as nice as I wanted to. And I always regretted getting rid of that thing. So I want to do that over again, get another fastback 60s Barracuda, put a good motor in it, a small block, and build it really nice. So it's like a killer driver, it's reliable, and it looks super rad, and you never see them anywhere. So it'd be like a unique car, and it would be really fun.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, did you guys hear that?
All right, fix your cable. Whew.
No, my cell phone's ringing right next to my internet.
Oh, there you go.
Gotta get some shielded cables, man.
I have my phone sitting on top of it. Actually, I always do. That might be where my interference comes from.
I think that's
I leave my cell phone right next to it.
I'm going to send you some shielded cables.
So that's what I want to do. I want to build another Hemi under Glass Barracuda and do it right this time.
I'll make the story real quick about that. So I had just moved up from East County to North County. I was 15 maybe. And my neighbor... this was in Encinitas. My neighbor had it was white Barracuda, big rear window. Yeah. And I thought like, man, like I had never even really heard of or seen that car before. I was like, that thing is so freaking weird looking, but it's super cool. And then sorry, mom and dad, but I would sneak out like late at night and like smoke cigarettes as a freaking little dumbass.
Damn.
And that's the only or the first time. Yeah, they still love me though, thank God. So I saw the car start up. No. So I saw the person walking out, my neighbor who I'd never seen before, and it was like, I don't know, she was probably like mid-20s, early 20s. I don't know. I was 15. Like everyone was old. And I only saw her at night, but like in my mind, she was smoking hot. And then she'd
driving a Barracuda.
And then she'd walk to her car, start it up, walk back inside to warm it up. And then I'm like, oh my God. Like she knows how to warm a car up. She's got a badass freaking Barracuda.
Dude, she was just warming you up with that.
Yeah. So I honestly, I never really got, like, I lived in that house for another like 4 years, maybe. Not even that, but never, like, I only saw her at night when I was smoking a cigarette like once a month.
I bet she thought you were cool too.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I was a little emo kid at that point. She probably thought I was a girl.
Oh, man. Oh, gosh.
Anyways, that was my quick story.
Well, I love those cars. You never see them at all, and they're super rad. Mm-hmm. All right, good. Okay, what's next?
So let's keep rocking. So in high school, somehow, I had this old nasty 72, it was a 73, first year of the square body Blazer where the top would come off. And I had it on 35s. It was just gnarly. It was a great rig. And this dude that, I think he went to my high school or he was a friend of a friend or whatever. He traded me a 1969 Camaro for this Blazer. And so for a very short period of time.
That is a crazy trade.
Dude, so for the short period of time, I owned the 69 Camaro. It was not super nice. Had a Ford 9-inch rear end underneath it. And I always had trouble with drive lines.
What was the motor? A 350?
It was a 350, yeah. It was rattle canned blue. It wasn't great. And I drove it for, there's a picture of me. I lost my parking pass at high school all the time because I would just do burnouts like crazy.
Nice.
It just had, it was so much fun. It was so badass. And, all like all the cars I've come and gone in my life. When it was time to sell it, I was totally fine. I don't even remember what I sold it for or traded it for.
Yeah.
But that back then you could find them for, $5,000, $4,000. This is up in Anchorage, Alaska, for God's sakes. Yeah. So looking back, I was in Vermont one time at my ex-girlfriend's parents' house, and her brother had a high school reunion, and one of the guys drove up in his 69 Camaro that he had bought new. It's the only car he had ever owned. Wow. He raised his kids in that car, and I was just dying. I know he's so badass. He's never bought anything else.
Damn, that's rad.
And so I always wish that I could have gone back and now they're almost unattainable. Like this is one of the ones that I'm like, I don't know if I would ever spend the money on it. And honestly, this is like a slash for me because any 67, 68, or 69 Firebird or Camaro, anything in that window, like if I saw a 68 Firebird for $5,000 or $6,000 fixer upper, like I'd probably buy it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always lean towards the Firebirds.
I love the nose on those things. Yeah. So anyway, that's like my number 3 was just a good old Chevy Camaro Firebird muscle somewhere in there. I think I'd love to tackle that project again. That's it.
Oh, hell yeah.
No, it's a good one. Good one.
Well, let's see. Okay, well, I'll throw this one in there. It's not really it's not something you can actually drive on the street or anything, but it's always been like a really fun project I've had in mind. So this was, honestly, like 15 years ago. Have you guys heard of cross carts?
No.
So it's pretty big in Europe. What it is,
that
it's
like stripping down a Corvette into a go-kart?
No. So it's a
good guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Is that
carts
like,
these days. Are
I want to build
huge.
one of those.
Like build,
someday.
like yeah,
Haven't you seen that where dudes buy like C4 Corvettes and like strip the whole body off them and put a roll cage on it? And
it's the only way to make them fast.
Yeah, it's
or
super
quick.
rad.
No, it's a. So you remember those those Honda Odysseys?
Cross cars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Man?
So no,
four-wheeler.
the single seater like.
Whoa,
dune buggy.
the little dune buggy thing.
Yeah. So it's like that, but
I thought you were gonna
steroids.
buy a mini.
No. So they usually run so they run just look up cross cart.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So they run like 600 like sport bike motors or even more. I think it is a series
Whoa, what the
cross
hell?
cart, so I think they have
Oh,
restrictions. But so I had always wanted to build one of those. I'm talking like 15 years ago.
All
And
right,
then
I'm
there's a
in on this.
company called now, I don't know when they started, but somewhat recent, called Sierra Cars. And they're doing a lot of Pikes Peak running and stuff like that. And kind of, they do some track stuff also.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's that concept of cross cart, but just long travel, like built. And so I'm never going to be able to, well, I can't say that, but for my foreseeable future, I won't be able to afford one of the Sierra cars.
Wow, that's rad.
But I can build a clone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just tubing and parts.
Yeah.
So
with aluminum body panels.
Yeah, you can download the makeup of it.
I don't know if they're releasing their chassis framework or at least specs.
Wow.
Yeah, here's a
Right.
download free 3D mock-up. Wow, crazy. That's nuts looking.
Oh yeah, I own one on Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah,
I recognize
probably.
that.
So I want to build my like garage built version of that, and
I like that.
do
I like it.
I don't know, get like a Gixxer 1000 motor, maybe throw a turbocharger on it.
That thing would
and just be something ridiculous.
Yeah.
The first ride on it will be the last time we ever see you again.
Yeah.
Well, no,
See if
it'd probably be the safest thing
he's got a
I've
roll
ridden.
cage. He's
Yeah,
fine.
and
You could throw him off a cliff and then he'd be fine. He'd go over Niagara Falls in that thing.
so
Nice.
that's I don't know what to call that, like a Sierra Cars clone or a cross cart
Oh, I know what to call
influence or whatever.
it. Fucking rad.
Yeah, like how much fun would that be? And honestly, I'd want to build the chassis to accept like a second seat right behind me, the driver. And so it's like fighter pilot style and have like a little digital dash for them to see all the data like right in front of them so it can freak them out even more. Like screaming at
See
like
G-forces.
10,000 like RPM.
Getting his face melted.
And then the oil pressure like dipping down.
All right. I like it.
So
Nice. All right. I'm going to switch to motorcycle. I feel like this is not insanely obscure or anything, but this is a weird motorcycle I've always wanted because I passed up. I remember years ago when I was doing race tech out of Ocean Beach Motorcycle in the back room in their weed growing room where I had my tiny office. I remember I met this dude. I needed an XS 650 because I was selling rotors or something. I was selling some part for the XS. I needed one to test something on. Found this dude on Craigslist that was selling an XS 650 and he let me use it. And I went to test a part on it. I gave him some parts to loan me the bike. Went over to he had him in a storage unit or something. So I went over, he had this really nice hard-tailed custom XS and he opens the storage unit like to loan me the bike. And behind it was this bike I'd never seen before. And it was bright. It's almost like bright pink or purple. I have to find a picture of the color. And I'm like, what is that? I knew it was a 70s Japanese bike. You could tell just by the look of it, but I didn't recognize it. And I was like, what is that? And he like rolls it out and he had it for sale for like $6,000 at the time. And I should have just bought it because it's worth a lot more now. Okay. Anyways, I didn't really pick a year. Let me see. It's 70, early 70s probably. Yeah, 72, 3. Oh, the purple one was 71. Okay, Suzuki GT750 Water Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
So 3-cylinder, 2-stroke, water-cooled, big old hog of a like cruiser, but it's a 2-stroke triple.
That was the first year of a liquid-cooled motorcycle. Or first bike.
Well, because the entire side of the motor literally has like liquid cooled.
Yeah, exactly.
In an emblem across the cylinder.
Those are awesome. So my mentor worked for a guy or fixed a lot of his collection, and he had a water buffalo, and that was the first time I saw one in person. And
so
the thing was,
they're like ugly, but they're just beautiful.
Yeah, and
like,
you
so
look
rad.
up front, and it's still running a drum brake up front.
Yeah. Well, I think they were slow as shit too. I don't think they were in any way. They're no way comparable to like the Kawasaki 2-strokes that were blazing. You know,
The
like
Z1s or the
H.
the
H2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. They had the H2 and the H1.
Everything I've read about them is they're not a very impressive motorcycle to ride, but like I just don't care. I think it's the coolest thing ever made.
This one had expansion pipes on it, so maybe that
nice.
was the difference, because that thing freaked the crap out of me.
What I thought was the thing that caught my eye originally was that there's 2 pipes on, like the right side of the bike has 2 exhaust pipes and the left side has 1.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, that's cool. And then you can tell they're 2-stroke pipes when you look at them, and it's like, okay, what's going on here? Then you see a radiator. Then you are sure it has 3 cylinders. Then you're like, dude, what the hell? And then they're always painted rad colors, like they're teal blue or like this purple, or I've seen some in some sort of green or yellow or something. They're just, God, they're so cool. Anyways, I never see them for sale.
That's cool.
And I wish I would have bought that one, but at some point I'm going to own one. It'll probably be horrible to ride, but I don't care. I have to.
Some things you just have to own in your life.
I do. I'm sure I'll sell it because it's probably horrendous to ride, but I don't care. I just need. I need to. Check that off my list.
That's never like how easy something is to drive or ride is not always the case of why it's so much fun.
Well, I realized I used to only have 70s, 80s Japanese bikes because that's all I could afford, and they used to be cheap. And then now that I got away from that, I've been away from those for years with Harleys and all sorts of other junk. And then now I'm like, oh man, I really want to go back to those. And now they're expensive all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, damn, I should have bought more back then.
Yeah.
All right. That's my number 3.
All right. Okay. Well, so this one, this is a bike that I have not owned, and I've never actually owned any of this model bike. I've owned lots of other British and European bikes, but I owned this coffee shop called Moto House Coffee, and we would have these bike nights on Thursdays. And in the beginning, I had them separated. It was like dual sport night on the first Thursday, something else on the second Thursday, blah, blah, blah. But one of them was vintage. So it just worked out. So if people owned like 6 different kind of bikes, they could like ride a different bike and hang out and talk shop or whatever. But on this one particular vintage bike night, this guy rode up on a 1975 Norton Commando Mark III, red, white, and blue. And I will never
Look that up.
forget it. I sat on it and started it up. Oh my God. It's a lot. There's like a cafe version of it called the John Player edition, but this was a standard Mark III 850 electric start. 75 was the only year of that color scheme, and it is so freaking beautiful. Upswept pipes.
It's white,
yes,
big blue stripe, small red stripe.
yes, that's the one.
Cool bike.
So now, Evan, look up the John Player Commando, and look at this hoss.
The cigarette guy? Yeah,
Look
we
at
used
that.
to. That's all they smoke in Canada. Every time I used to go to the office, we'd smoke Players. Those bad boys are tasty. Oh, dude, what? It has like
Yes.
the Krauser kind of fairing on it. Holy shit!
It has the Krauser, dude. Isn't that thing unbelievable? The dual headlight.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, sign me up for that bad boy. Holy shit!
It's just
Wow.
It is like motorcycle chaotic art. It is amazing.
Oh my God! It looks like you should be riding that in the future.
I know.
I want to ride that to a space station. That is rad.
That's not necessarily part of the project. That's not what he came up on. But I remember when we were having a discussion with this guy about his Mark III, he was like, "Oh, you gotta look up the John Player." And I remember thinking, like, who even designs a motorcycle like that?
Cool.
But anyway, yeah, I would love to find. I've never owned a Norton ever, and I was something I would love to own. And it's like attainable. And I think finding that 75, that 850 would be sweet. It's like it's kind of like the modern version of your Triumph, with the correct side shifting and braking and electric start, all the things that I would want.
Have you ever ridden a Norton?
I have ridden one. Yeah, I didn't ride that one, but another friend of mine had just a standard black one, and it was great. It just has its own heartbeat. It wasn't overly fast or quick, but it just felt like, kind of feels like a Beamer of that kind of vintage, but different power plant, different. It was great, man. It was such a nice bike. I actually talked to Billy about it. Nice. He was telling me to avoid them because they're so expensive to upkeep, and
I'm sure they're more expensive than a comparable Triumph. All right, what do you got next?
So it's a bike I've probably had. Oh man. Well, it was my first bike, and then I had probably 4 others since then.
Okay.
But there's one, now that I've kind of walked away from that genre, or at least walked away from motorcycles for the most part. This one, like this project, I've always had in my head that I just thought would be so freaking cool, just to kind of pay homage to the originality of the bikes that I completely changed up. It's a dual overhead, so early 80s, mid, I don't remember how long they made them for. I think 84. Anyways, dual overhead CB 750 F or the 900 F.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I would honestly probably, what I have in mind is probably the 750S. That's the red on black, or is it black on red? I don't remember. With like gold accents and stuff like that.
CB
but
750F.
Dual overhead. But keep it like, because like that rear tail fairing was so
super cool.
Well, at the time I was like, man, this thing is fucking awful. It's way too long. It's bulky and like super like 80 or like 80s with like influence of I don't know, whatever.
I loved that, and the black, they were black and red, orange or whatever striping.
Black and orange,
badass.
Yep.
So keeping that, and like I said, like kind of paying like tribute or like homage to the bikes that I took and changed everything on, and keeping like all of the bodywork stock with the F fairing up front, like a little half or quarter fairing, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And honestly, the only thing I would change on the body style is I would drop the tank in the front a little bit, because that, I don't know why they did it, that upsweep on the front of the tank I always hated. So I would just drop that just to straighten the lines out, and I'd change the body work on the side that run into the tail section and the tank. But what I would do is put modern suspension on it. So I do a front end, inverted front end on it with modern brakes, that 17 17-inch rims, front and rear. And then I don't know if I would do just a swing arm swap from a later sport bike, or if I would I'd probably have to modify the existing swing arm, probably extend it a little bit, and then build my own monoshock. So having a super clean example of a dual overhead CB750F body style, but just upgrade suspension and build like a sweet 4-to-1 exhaust or something like that. But
that'd be a great bike to just
and then
ride.
just leave it.
Yeah. It'd be awesome. I like that.
I feel like there was like, I can't remember the name. And actually, I'm remembering it's not that bike. There's another custom company, and they're really known for putting like Gixxer front ends on old bikes, and they do a lot of custom work. Like you were talking, they keep They keep it style, but actually they did it on an XS1, and I can't remember the name of the company. It was like Cafe Moto or Moto Lab or something like that. But I remember seeing that in a magazine, just geeking out.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so that one I think would just be fun.
Sweet. Yeah.
I like it. That's a good call. All right. So my next one is I debated putting this on here, but because I don't think it's that interesting, but it's also something I've always wanted to do. So I think it counts as a top project, even though I don't think it's super interesting. But I always liked putting together, when I was a kid, I always like made car models and shit.
Yeah.
Right? So and I loved doing that. And I was like, okay, like that was fun, but I'd rather like really build a car. But I don't really want to do I'm not really a fabricator, but I like the idea of putting together a whole car from scratch. So then I always really wanted to build a kit car and find like the raddest. So I had two routes I would go that I would consider. One would be the raddest, like obscurest 70s fiberglass kit car that you can lay on a, VW Bug frame or whatever. I think that'd be rad. Or do like one of the really sweet Factory 5 builds.
That almost made my list.
So, and I thought, but I don't think it's super interesting. Like, to me, that's far from the most interesting car in the world. All this other more random shit to me is way more interesting, but I feel like it'd be a really fun project to put together. And then you end up with like a really nice driver out of it. And if you were smart about building it, you could likely, whenever you got bored, sell it and get all the money out of it, if not make money. So to me, it seems like a really worthwhile project that would be fun. So anyways, again, I don't think it's super interesting, but I think it's realistic and something I want to do. And I think with Crosby at some point when he's old enough, I feel like that'd be a rad project to do with a kid to take a year and build a kit car build.
Yeah. And that's kind of something like you mentioned, like model cars, like that's,
well, I think that's the aspect that makes me like it, because I feel like you're not doing a ton of fabrication or engineering type stuff, but I like assembling it
exactly
without tons of thought, and that seems cool. It just seems fun.
All of the hard bits of building, say, a custom project, it's already figured out for you. Yeah. So you're kind of, it's still work, and you still get that having to figure out the like pieces of the puzzle, but it's essentially laid out for you where you still get that itch, but it's probably more relaxing.
No, I know. That's what I liked about it. It seems, now who knows, maybe they're a pain in the ass. I don't know. But I feel like if you went with a well-engineered kit like Factory 5, it's probably pretty straightforward.
You would
assembly.
you'd want to go with a reputable
but what my first thought getting into it was an obscure 70s fiberglass car like have you look up a Bradley GT?
Oh, I remember this. I don't have to look them up. GT. Yeah.
They're ridiculous.
Yeah.
but
it's this
super
gull
awesome.
wing.
And
oh my God, look at the doors. I love it.
So that was my first thought, was like, find the raddest, obscurest fiberglass 70s kit car you can. And then I'm like, wait a minute, you didn't want to do any fabrication. You certainly don't want to do fiberglass work.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, let's scrap that angle.
And it had those oh no, I'm thinking of something else. I know what the Bradleys are. I was thinking of another one that had like the faux like gutter headers, like the gutter material like coming out of the front
the exhaust piping?
Yeah. Oh, is that it?
No. The
okay.
Bradley's like futuristic, almost Ford GT40 style.
That's right. Yeah. So that's the one. I thought you were talking about the one I was...
No, you're talking about that crazy like 1920s Rolls Royce style car, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I have no interest in that.
Okay.
None.
That but only makes you look better. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
if you just Google like weird 70s fiberglass kit cars, there was so many of them.
Oh yeah.
And they were the raddest, stupidest cars you've ever seen, and just made to go over a VW Bug chassis.
That's so funny.
I think that's cool. It's just like trying to do one now, and when they're ancient, and like it just sounds horrible. You know? Like I don't think that would be a fun project.
Yeah, definitely.
And in the end, you do all that work, and you'd have a total piece of shit to drive.
Exactly. You'd probably still likely have a 36 horsepower motor powering it.
Yeah, that'd be horrible. It'd be horrible.
All right, so this is my final one.
Okay,
we're over time, but whatever. So this is like, for me, this is my my like pinnacle, and I've owned multiple of these trucks, but I've never got to own the queen gem of them all, which is a 1972 Cheyenne Super short bed Chevy truck.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And the Cheyenne Super is, I mean,
spot.
I know that everybody loves that truck, so it's not like it's anything original or amazing, but I've owned 2 short bed step sides. I've owned a 71 long bed, but there's just nothing quite like when you see those.
Would you do
all
the
original,
orange and white two-tone?
Oh, yeah, any of the color, but all the little doodads when you're in the interior. It's just,
What'd you
like
get on
no
the
other.
Cheyenne Super? Like, what better interior?
Yeah, you got all the the trim packages and stuff. You got air conditioning. You got, it's just like the two-tone
Coolest
paint.
truck
It was
ever.
it's their coolest truck ever. I mean, and they tried to continue the name. Like they moved the Cheyenne Super into the square bodies, but the 72 is just the catch now, man. If you look,
I mean,
at
that really
interior
is like when you
pictures,
think of an old truck. That's
Coolest truck ever.
That's what you think of.
Yep.
it's the quintessential. It's the quintessential Chevy, And again,
Well, they just slayed it with that two-tone, the white side and rad colors and the wood grain trim embedded in the side rail. Like
lately, I've been geeking out on thinking, and I don't know if it'd ever be possible anymore, but they made the Blazer of those years, the 2-door Blazer, and they made that in 2-wheel drive. They weren't all 4x4, and I thought it would be killer to find an old, like a 71 or a 72 Blazer, and then just slam it and just make it
absolutely
sweet. Oh man. So that's probably more attainable than a Cheyenne Super, but I always felt like when I was an old man and I had an extra $60,000 laying around, or I would try to find one and have it, and restore it or something when I have that. Restoring a truck like that is so expensive these days.
Yeah.
It's just,
my goodness,
it's out of control. Which is why
you've got
continue to stay with motorcycles,
$50,000
but
into a project pretty much at that point.
easy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you got to buy one
For
first,
such a
which is,
simple vehicle, too.
I know, I know. It's terrible.
It's insane.
Yeah, so that's my
Holy grail.
yeah, that's like the holy grail of
Nice.
things that I would love to have in my life and do. That's it. That's my top 5.
Nice. Yeah, it's solid.
That's a good list.
That's a real good list.
Yeah.
Well, so far you guys have not let me down as far as
We've had some
what
good
yeah.
winners here, I think.
And there's honestly like a lot of this. I obviously don't know you, Max, as well as Evan, but I to a certain extent you've stayed kind of true to what I thought maybe you would have, but threw in some bangers in there.
Yeah. No, some hot selection.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What's your number 5?
This one, I think, yeah. So this will definitely be on the list because I still am gonna have one of these at some point. Is like a vintage jet boat.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
just to and I don't know too much about vintage jet boats, so I'm definitely going to have to do a lot of research and also talking to people who know about them. Because like 70s era like jet boats, there was a lot of shit ones too. So at least getting like a good hole. So just to get the idea of what I found that like that's the boat is just look up like Sanger, I think it's called Sanger jet boat. And those things are probably the coolest freaking things in the world.
I love the color, the purple sparkles.
Mm-hmm.
If you found a legit one from the 70s that did its time at Havasu, can you just imagine how many like topless chicks that boat is seeing?
Yeah.
So many.
And
so many.
So what I would want to do is like also like paint it still like close to like the radical like paint jobs they did.
Yeah, you have to.
But like modify it a little bit, modernize it a little bit with using like flats and glosses and stuff like that to kind of, I don't know, just change it up a little bit. But powering, so what I would want is a second row.
Okay.
So I don't know what kind of seater that is, but
some of them did, right? They had, like bucket seats and then a rear bench.
And then it's almost like the two seats are butt against each, like back to back.
Yeah.
So, and then having like
big block.
Do you know what? I'm on the fence with it. Just what comes to mind. This is a long ways away when I actually will have this project. But what comes to mind is just building a pretty basic but like nasty LS motor. But I knew I'd lose you there.
Yeah, you can't really put that in this. You can't really do that.
You're going off the rails with this LS.
I'm not gonna,
man. Like,
you know what? You're right.
I appreciate the motor technology, but like, come on, that boat needs the filthiest big block you can cram into it. I mean,
you got to buy that motor from your boss and just hold on to it till you find
Oh my goodness!
With the 871.
I'll get one run out of that.
What are you putting in LS? And like, what, you trying to get good mileage? Like, what do you?
No, I just don't want to. I just don't want to work on it. I've got enough shit I have to work on.
You don't even have to open the hood. I mean, you literally just turn around in your bucket seat and like adjust the points. I mean, come on.
All right.
Nasty, filthy, disgusting big block.
Yeah. You got to go that way.
All right. Yeah. I'll rob a motorhome like 440 and throw. Then I'll get my hands on some like old Hillborn injection. And just have like the tallest stack sticking out of it.
Yes, thank you for coming around.
And
finally,
just some big old Lakester headers coming out of it.
Yes, that now we're talking.
Some big old boom tubes.
Yeah.
What do you call the boats that are always in like James Bond movies? Those all wood.
Those are
glossy, all wood.
Yeah. So that was almost going to take place of it. Those are Chris Crafts. Yeah.
Chris,
like super high end handmade.
They're honestly
look up Chris Craft boats.
They're honestly not exactly that much. They can. Some of them definitely are very expensive.
That's the one, dude. Those,
super.
I always
super
see
cool.
You always see them in like
Beautiful
James Bond
boats.
movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, look at those things.
That's
holy shit.
That almost took place of it, but then I remembered who I am. And it's 70s jet boat all day long.
I don't see you driving around.
No.
Like, what are you going to be doing? Drinking martinis and like eating mustard? Like,
that's it.
No,
it's not for.
It's 2022. I'd be drinking White Claws.
Yeah, but you'd be bombing claws in your jet boat, man.
Yeah.
Have you seen? Okay, I'd really recommend if you haven't seen it, the Roadkill episode where Finnegan and Freiberger take the jet boat, do the motor swap in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And go race the boat.
Absolutely.
So rad.
So
that's awesome.
What's his? Mike Finnegan. He's a huge jet boat guy.
Yeah.
I would never take it to that caliber because I think that's just way too much money to put into something. It's more of a joke I'm really into as far as jet boats, but they are
like it. That's
badass.
Nice. I like it.
Wow, I love it. Nice top
all right,
list.
here's my final choice.
Yeah,
and this was tough because I'm going to tell you 3 things. We don't need to discuss them, but I had to cross these off to pick a 5, or my number 5.
Give us some hints before. I don't know if
Okay, 2, 3. Actually, all 3 of these are from movies. Okay.
Okay.
The 3 cars I'm crossing.
I got
off.
one.
I'm not choosing.
I've got one.
Okay, go ahead.
Smokey the Bandit.
Go ahead,
Smokey
Max.
the Bandit.
Yeah. That's a given.
Absolutely.
And I will, but I didn't want to. It's not a project. I just want a flawless Smoking the Bandit. Trans Am,
absolutely.
and I will have one someday.
Well, you got to take that restrictor plate off. You know what I mean? Just don't tell anyone.
That. Hey, Mike. Okay, so, but there's no discussion. I just need a Trans Am at some point. Okay, forget that. All right, 2 more movie cars.
I've got another one for you. That's for sure. If it's not on your list, it should be on your list. The ultimate Corvette from Corvette Summer.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Man.
Yes. Yeah. Yep, the Corvette from Corvette Summer.
I'm thinking Max wrote your list for you.
Dude, he knows me too well. Okay. One more movie car.
Okay,
that I also
got
crossed off my list.
I got it. It's got to be. It's got to be the AMX.
Oh my God! If you hit the trifecta, I'm gonna.
Was that it? Was it? Is it
National Lampoon's Vacation?
No.
Oh, dang! I got 2 out of 3.
Okay. Any more
Wait
guesses?
a minute, hold on. Gosh. What I can just.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint.
Is it a G body?
No.
Okay.
Almost Fisto's car. Almost my dad's Chevy.
Oh, Christine. No, that is a 57 Chevy.
No, that's a Fury.
What is it? 55? Is that what it was?
My dad's is a 57.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it's similar, but what's the car I'm thinking of from a movie?
From
Super
a movie?
Like a rad movie, Tri-5 Chevy.
Yeah, that was a 55 Chevy, right? In American Graffiti?
No, I don't want the yellow.
I know that's not an Evan movie.
Oh no, that was the dude's. That was a Ford.
Oh, was it?
All right,
that was.
You better tell us.
What's his name? Milner. That's the Milner coupe. No, not that one. No, there was a Tri-5 Chevy in American Blacktop. No, I want the super rad nasty. It was a 55, I think, from 2-lane Blacktop. The one with the had fiberglass hood. It was a 2-door 55, I think, with a big block in it.
Yeah.
Look it up. The car itself doesn't look cool. It's just a super nasty 2-door.
It came right up.
Tri-5 that is super badass.
Oh, look at that thing! Oh my God, it's sick.
Isn't that rad? I mean, it was like primered. Like it was a junk. It looked like a junk car, but it was just this super rad, shitty but fast. I loved everything about it. I thought it was super cool.
I love that body style. I like it better than the 57.
Yeah. The 56 was always my favorite Bel Air.
I like 55 is always my favorite.
Yeah.
But I want a 2-door. All right. Anyways, but those are not my choices. I just thought those would all be rad. Okay. realistic choice for a project, because this obtainable project, super rad. And I'm surprised Max didn't have one of these on his list. Actually, I totally expected him to. And that is, I need a shorty van, a 70s shorty van. At some point.
God.
Oh, yeah.
I really thought you were going to have one on your list.
It was, I told you I had like 20 cars I had to siphon down.
Did you put that on your original list at all?
Well, it's on my original, yes. Of any make. Like I love
Yes, I don't care. I don't care
G10
what brand.
Chevys, but the Dodge shorties are sweet. Ford shorties are sweet.
Yep.
Definitely
but
Chevy.
I want it like it's got to be right. Like I want to do one. It's got to be a shorty. It's got to be big rear tires. It has to have side pipes. It's got to have fishbowl windows. It has to have a mural with like a wizard and lightning bolts on the side of it. I mean, if I'm doing one, it's going to be the raddest van ever known to man. It's going to have a spoiler on the back. Like it's going to have everything.
That is such a great final project for the list.
So I feel like it's obtainable. It's doable. It's realistic.
So
and it's super sweet.
Get this. So you remember Zach Bryan?
Yeah, I think I've heard his name.
Zach, if you're listening, we're just going to bring you up every episode.
Yeah.
His dad has one still from the 70s that I'm pretty certain Zach inherited. If he still has it, I don't know. I haven't heard him talk about it for a long time. And it had even the, so you know the sliding door?
Yeah.
Of course.
So it goes up instead of slides.
Oh, what?
Apparently, this is like the ultimate 70s van when van life was started.
Zach just got
it's literally like what you described, except the last time I saw any pictures of it, it was like getting body work done. So it was getting smoothed out.
Dude, Zach, update us on that.
Yeah.
That's rad.
And I haven't heard about this out of his mouth in a few years now, but I'm pretty certain his dad gave it to him, or it was maybe his dad's kind of last effort to like, what am I going to do with this?
Right. God, I want one.
Zach,
someday.
if you're listening, send us an email, a real one.
Yeah.
I guess that doesn't count either.
Oh, I see. Well, I am strict. I will say I am strict on no shag carpeting because I don't really want to hang out in it. I want a usable interior to put bikes in and stuff. So,
I'm
the
sure
inside
carpet
I would
comes out.
I would wood panel it or something.
Yeah.
So it's totally usable, but I just think it's like practical. It's super cool. Mm-hmm. Totally, you could drive it every day. It would be awesome. Like everything about it is perfect. So
yeah,
someday.
I'll make this quick because I know we're way over. But you ever heard the story of the wild cherry van? That would be great. That'd be a great like just a podcast to do on its own. The wild cherry van was a movie icon van that got stolen.
Yeah, I looked it up. Yes.
It got stolen and then rediscovered on somebody's property out in, and then people like fought over it and went to court over who owned it. And it's this huge, big to do. That would be a really fun.
What was the movie it was from?
Oh, I can't remember that. I just remember reading it.
I did read an article
magazine.
on that one time.
Yes.
The movie was called Van Nuys Boulevard in 1979.
There you go. That's it. And it got somebody like found it randomly on somebody's property, like crushed. And
yeah, here's the picture of it. Trees falling
under a tree. Yeah. That's it. There you go.
Wow.
Isn't that funny with the square window?
We should talk about that sometime. That's awesome. Yeah, I did. You're right. I read an article about that years ago.
Yeah, like cool. This Coke dealer owned it, and then it got stolen, and then it was gone forever until somebody discovered it out there. Anyway. Speaking of vans,
I would love to find somebody. I know we've sent them pictures on Instagram, Max, for sure, of rad 70s vans. And there's all these dudes that are still totally doing like 70s rad vans. We should find somebody into that to like tell us all about that scene, because I bet there's all sorts of cool shit we don't know about.
I'm sure people like, it's their whole life. They're just total.
We need the Zach Bright of 70s van life.
That's it.
So if that's you, message us.
Message us for sure.
Stat. All right, rad. Fellas. Okay, guys, this was a good episode. I think this is some cool stuff.
That was fun. Comment. I think we should post on our Instagram all of our top 5 picks.
Yeah, I like that.
There you go.
And if you aren't following us already, jump on to All Wheels Podcast on Instagram and go ahead on our posts. Leave us a quick top 5 of what you would like for your project.
That would be good.
This is really educational, really, because there's a lot of projects or cars, bikes that I didn't know of or forgot about, which was fun.
It's funny you said that earlier, because I feel like we had diverse lists, but they totally were accurate for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was good. That was hard to make a top 5. I mean, I was still like making eliminations while we were talking, trying to
I know.
narrow it down.
You know what's funny is one of the ones on my list that we didn't. It's just a stupid one, but I've always had this like fairy tale dream about a Crocker motorcycle, which is so dumb, because They sell for
That's like
$750,000.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like the most iconic looking motorcycle to me.
Yeah.
It's like what Harley modeled the WLA after. And unfortunately, he just didn't make it. He came out with that design. It was a kick-ass bike, and then it just failed before it ever got started. But, man, they're so sweet. Anyway.
I would love to talk to somebody that's into, like, early Harleys, you know, the like knows like real.
I got a guy. I got a guy here in town who restores like
really?
Painstakingly restores old Harleys. Yeah,
I think that'd be awesome. I'd love to hear about it. I know nothing about old.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but Steve Gowing knows him real well. Yeah, he only does like early 1900s flat heads and stuff.
Nice. I think that'd be awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, well, right on. We'll check out allwheelspodcast.com and our Instagram, All Wheels Podcast. And shoot us a message, contact at allwheelspodcast.com. And we will see you next week. I don't know what we're talking about yet, but I bet it'll be rad.
Also, I'm just throwing this out. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, if you leave us a 5-star review, we'll read it out loud, and and we'll give you a little quick shout out.
All right,
I think that's a great idea.
Are we in agreement to that? I mean, if not, I'll cut it out. I have no problem with that.
Well, even if you leave us a bad review and it's funny, we'll probably
I mean, leave a bad leave us a bad review with 5 stars, and we'll read it.
Yeah, deal. All right, right on. All right, well, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everybody.